Okay, the moment you all been waiting for. The what if Deku was Carnage story. Now, a little thing, I deleted the original video of this because I couldn't post it on Instagram. Like I said, this video is only going to be like 15 to 16 minutes. But that's okay because I'm going to be uploading another one tonight. But anyway, so the story starts with I'm gonna say Deku being born. And when he was born, for he was actually like born inside of his own home because his dad was abusive. Or wait, no. Okay, I fucked up there. I'll actually do the original thing that I was gonna do to this. But pretty much, he was born in the hospital, all that, and he was perceived as quirkless, because he really didn't show anything, so everybody was like, oh, he's quirkless then. And, pretty much, like, he lived a nice life with Inko and his dad. And when he was like 5, he started showing like fucking violent behavior in a way. Because one time when his mom saw him in the backyard, he was like standing above something, and she's just looking, and he starts stomping on whatever it is. And she goes look, and she's like, oh, Deku, what are you doing? And it was like some bird with a broken wing, and he stomped on it. And she said, oh my god, Deku, why would you do that? And Deku says, I was putting him out of his misery. And Deku does have a quirk, and basically his quirk is like, in My Hero Academia, it's going to be perceived as like a quirk that's not good. And it's basically like a it's like a psychopathism type quirk that basically makes the person emotionless. And that's the price. But what the quirk can do is how Stain got that intimidation thing. That's not really a quirk, but this pretty much is. And basically it just makes people like fear him with either like a look or doing some sort of thing, which is gonna come in handy. But basically his whole life, his mom and dad has been worried, and they're like, oh, is he gonna be a villain when he grows up? And they got him multiple therapists, but none of them worked. There's no breakthrough. So then, once he got into school, everybody thought he was quirkless. Obviously, Bakugo was gonna bully him. And I'm gonna say they waited one more year before they even put him in school. So Bakugo does got his quirk. And fucking when they were all on the playground and shit, at their school, fucking Bakugo and his goons came up and was like, hey, Deku, wanna play? And it was like a trick to bully him. And Deku turns around with this eerie look on his face, and he's like, okay then, friend. And they have this bouncy ball, and Bakugo passes it to one of his friends, and then that friend passes it to their friend, and this this boy had like a strengthening quirk, so he basically like used it to like throw at his face too, and it's a bouncy ball, so that hurts like hell. Well, not really, but he throws it at Deku in the cheek, and he falls onto the ground, and he stands back up and does his little quirk thing, because after he stood up, he picks up the ball and looks at them with this toothy grin, and basically they all like get like hella scared. I picked the worst time to do this, huh? Anyway, if you hear any background noise, that's because my brother is a freaking crybaby. Anyway, but so pretty much when he was around like 12, he kind of basically figured, him being a psychopath and all, well, if I'm gonna kill bugs and birds and all that, why don't I just move up a rank and go to humans? And he basically plans this whole thing, and he waits until his mom and dad go to sleep, and when they're asleep, he sneaks into their room with a knife, and he covers his dad's mouth and stabs him in the throat, so if he was to make any noise, his mom wouldn't wake up and hear it, and then stabs him in the heart. And then he slits his mom's throat, and she wakes up and she's like, she can barely speak, and she's just kind of like drowning in her own blood inside of her windpipe. And she kind of like pushes him, and he goes back. He like fucking falls back, and she tries to escape the bed and she's like crawling and shit while covering her neck and bleeding out. And he just stands over her and stabs her like straight on top of the head. And then he basically just like runs off out of his house. A few months later, somebody reported a crime, and they find out that it's Deku who did it. And he kind of thought that he would get away with it because he's a child, but he's been wearing the same shit, so they're obviously gonna know with like the blood. And somebody sees him and reports it, and they find Deku and arrest him. And he got like 7 years for murder. Cold-blooded murder. So that would be like 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. When he's about like 18, he planned multiple escapes, so he got like more years put on his shit. And Eddie Brock, which is the original Venom, was in there with him. And when he was in there, the symbiote, they got like a connection in the comic book, so it came looking for him, and the symbiote ended up finding Brock and basically attached onto Brock because he's like saw him like on the ground, so he touches him, and Deku just sees this man get covered in this all black thing with like a spider on its chest, bulky as hell, sharp teeth, long tongue, sharp long claws, and Eddie is just saying, "Yes, I'm finally free," and like punches hole through the whole entire brick wall. And he's like, now it's time for my escape. But while Eddie broke the wall, there was like a Deku kind of like lifted up his hand, so then he could take cover from like debris that was all over the place, and it kind of like cut his hand, and he knew it, but he wasn't worried about it. And this is where Carnage comes in, and basically how Carnage even became. Symbiotes are asexual, so like they literally just make offspring, and that was Carnage. And Deku doesn't notice it, but it like crawls onto his hand and goes inside of his bloodstream, just like in the comic books. And while he's like running off into wherever, he finds himself inside of woods, and walking for like a few more hours, it's like 12 a.m. and he finds a few campers, and he's like, they're not equipped with anything, so maybe this could be my first kill out of jail. And he walks up to them, and it's some man and his son camping, but the son is like 18, so no worries. And fucking basically Deku comes up to them, threatens them, and he's like, give me some food or I shall kill you with my bare hands. Actually, give me everything. And the guy takes out his rifle and he's like, oh no, you hold it right here, right there. I know you. You're that kid who killed his family. And his son is like, what are we gonna do, Dad? And he's like, call the police. But before he can do that, Carnage says to Deku, and he's like, let me have at them now. And he just gets covered in this black and red symbiote type thing. And Deku the dad was like, what the hell? And Deku just fucking lifts up his hand, and this tentacle comes out of his hand, basically spearing him through the head. And he fucking Mortal Kombat gets over here and like captures his head and fucking takes a bite out of it and throws it on the ground. And then he ends up just fucking turning into his like puddle type self and enters the mouth of the child, his son, and he tortures him by making him throw him up. So basically he's just like on his knees while this red and black symbiote just comes out of his mouth. And then by the time he throws him all the way up, he reforms, turns his hand into like a axe and like cuts off his head and then rips out his whole entire spine. Mortal Kombat no Sub-Zero style. Fucking hate those jokes. Anyway. And basically, Deku turns back and he's like, wow, that was amazing. And he just hears Carnage's voice again, and he's like, yeah, you see? Now, let's go to the city. And Deku says, well, Mr. Voice, where is the city? And he's like, just keep on heading forward. And also, my name is Null. And Deku says, well, we're gonna call ourselves Carnage, okay? And the symbiote is like, Carnage, okay, I like it. And the reason I say no is because he's like, that's his symbiote race. But anyway, they continue and head off into the city. Anyway, hope y'all enjoyed that. I'll be uploading a different one tonight, and we'll be doing like 2 separate ones. So, hope you have a good night, and goodbye.